the Democratic Alliance's federal executive, which met at 1 p.m. today, has resolved to withdraw from the national dialogue with immediate effect. In the absence of a president who's prepared to take action against VBS looters and state capture accused sitting around the cabinet table, it is clear that the dialogue will be reduced to nothing more than a waste of time and money to distract from ANC failures. A second and critically important step that the DA is taking is to vote against upcoming departmental budget votes for the departments headed by Simelane Nkabane and other corruption-accused ANC ministers. And we will keep voting against those budget votes until those ministers are removed. In this way, the DA will strike a responsible and appropriate balance by allowing the broader GNU budget process to proceed to ensure the stability of the country, while forcing the ANC to act against those specific ministers who the public now demand are removed. I think it also bears mentioning that the DA will always act in a responsible manner and one in which puts the interests of South Africa first. The demonstration of that good faith was shown just this week in the National Assembly, where, despite the unilateral axing of Deputy Minister Whitfield, and despite the fact that the President had given me his word that I had 24 hours to notify Mr. Whitfield and brief my party about the step he was about to take, he simply fired off the letter sacking Deputy Minister Whitfield 3 hours later. Now, had we wanted to be petty, had we wanted to make this about positions over principle, it would have been very easy to go into the National Assembly and vote against the Division of Revenue Act that took place this week. It was very clear from the panicked reactions during my speech that the ANC did not have the numbers, and they knew it, to get that passed. And yet, as I indicated in that speech, we are a reliable coalition partner. We respect our coalition partners. And when we give our word and we make undertakings, we stick to them.
To ensure that there's a cohesion in society by getting these parties to work together in line with the adopted statement of intent, which, by the way, there isn't anything in the Constitution and the statement of intent that suggests that the President must co-govern with the leader of the Democratic Alliance. And secondly, we continue to remind the DA we are not in a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. We are in a government of national unity that is led by the African National Congress. It is the ANC that invited all political parties that made it to Parliament to join the ANC in constituting a government for the sake of national unity and the people of South Africa. And for the President to delay his trip out of respect for domestic issues or issues in the domestic environment is laudable. But we do believe that he should be allowed to go and do his work and not be deterred by what, honestly, at best, are the games that are being played by a party such as Democratic Alliance. We must remind South Africans the ANC is not in a coalition with the Democratic Alliance.
All right, let's further expand on this discussion by welcoming political analyst Mr. Bongani Mahlangu. Bongani, a very good afternoon to you. So I'm sure you've seen both presses. I'd like to hear your assessment, general assessment of these two developments. And also, will the DA then ever be credible going forward on its threats to pull out of the government of national unity? Because what impact will their non-participation in the national dialogue actually have?
No, greetings, AJ, colleagues in studio and viewers at home. So I think some of the objectives of the DA for today were, one, to delegitimize the national dialogue through the withdrawal and also smear it with the 750 odd that has been circulating around million rands. That would be the cost of talking, where that money could have been better used elsewhere. So that was just to substantiate the delegitimization of that process. Number two was to frustrate, or is to the threat to frustrate operations of specific or targeted departments like higher education, like human settlements, by not supporting the votes. And we know how problematic that can be. We've already seen what happened in February and so forth. And also post that is the medium-term budget policy statement around October, where they might continue and not support that, and that will also have certain problems as well. And then number 3 was to discredit the president. How did they do that? They said the president is inconsistent in the application of his constitutional discretions with regards to the appointment and removal of ministers and deputy ministers, his professional ethics and just governance, the ability to ignore communication from some but rapidly respond to some, and so forth. So that is just a governance issue. Those are control issues. Those are professional ethical issues they say he lacks. And then also the president being inconsistent in cleaning cabinet, cleaning the state. That's why they even made citation that we thought he would not behave like those RET forces that exist in the ANC. Hence, we had confidence in working with him. But so that means he is now starting to show certain signs of that faction within the ANC. So now that is, it's basically saying that he's unable to clean cabinet, is unable to clean the state. Hence he has officials who are alleged to be corrupt. Hence he has officials like the Minister of Higher Education who has committed perjury by saying that yes, the Tau advocate Tau was not informed, and so forth and so on. But what they did wrong as well was that when you issue an ultimatum of 48 hours or so, is that if the president would have acted on that ultimatum, it would have made him look weak. And he could also not then afford to look weak in public. But partially there was success there. How do we measure that success? The presidency issued a statement explaining as to why the deputy minister was removed from the executive. Remember, deputy ministers are cabinet, they are just in the executive. So that was a partial victory. And even this one of the president cancelling his trip to Spain shows that there was a scare, or the scare tactic of 48 hours worked, but insignificantly, because it didn't achieve its actual intended objectives. And then there's also that threat as well now that is in the long run with regards to the motion. Yes, there can be a reconfiguration of the GNU or the coalition without maybe the DA. But that reconfiguration would come with its own risks, which the other organizations, in terms of what they demand, how they're going to work forward, in terms of sharing certain things, that will come with certain risks, which I'm not certain that the ANC or the president is willing to succumb to. But the DA pulling out now, or having pulled out, would have not made sense. Why? Because the DA is looking at local government elections that might take place in 15 months from now or so, and they are targeting Category A municipalities, metros, and they are targeting Category B municipalities, those municipalities that have major cities. So they need these ministry positions and deputy ministry positions to profile the organization that it is a capable of organization. So pulling out of government now would actually harm that objective, or that strategic objectives of local government.
Mm-hmm. You and I have long discussed the volatility of this relationship from day one, Bongani, and as it stands, we have no budget as a result of the DA going to court, albeit with other parties. The bill expropriation bill have been signed, the NHI is on the card. So again, I want us now to focus on what the implications of this type of relationship actually is for us as citizens who depend on policies, and most importantly, unity, which was what was presented to us after elections. This is certainly not unity. In fact, it creates further division in societal fragmentation, undoing all the past gains. So how should we then hold the executive accountable for such behavior?
The top two organizations in the GNU are in constant battles with each other, which will culminate into a war in the next general elections, not even the local government elections. And I think we're going to see that up until the conclusion of this term, if they stick with each other, which is problematic at best, because they hardly speak about service delivery in the manner that they are speaking about the current developments. I mean, if we were to be asked now, or they were to be asked now, what have you guys achieved since the putting together of this government? It is hard to find them speaking from all corners, from all organizations, as they are speaking now. So to some people in public, it is as if nothing has been done. They've not achieved anything. which is very problematic. And I think it's something they need to fix. Even the language they use. I mean, you still hear language such as a DA minister, an ANC minister or deputy minister. A minister is a minister of South Africa, a minister of everyone. They may come from a certain organization, but they are not a minister of that organization. They are a minister from that organization or a deputy minister. So what does that tell us as citizens? Again, it then contributes to the loss of confidence. It contributes to even more people deciding that in the next electoral run, they might not show up. And then that consequence is that whoever will win or get any vote in the next run, it will be because of a minority of South Africans, because a majority would have decided to sit at home, which then delegitimizes them in the context that they lose what we call constituency legitimacy. Because if out of 100% of the electorate of South Africa, those eligible to vote, only let's say maybe 20% go out and actually vote. That means that 80% would have rejected you. That means you don't have constituency legitimacy. That means there are certain areas in the country that would be hard for you to visit because those people would have rejected you. And then what does that mean ultimately? It then undermines and impairs the democratic project. It undermines and impairs the very same constitution. So it has certain consequences that I don't think all these organizations within the GNU, not just the top two, are actually invested in thinking about and curbing.
The DA playing a very long ball there. Bongani is threatening that or playing around with the words of a motion, a possible motion of no confidence in the president. So we're going to wait and see, of course, what happens in relation to that. But for today, thank you so much for your input. Bongani, as always, Mr. Bongani Mahlangu is a political analyst there, also weighing in on the latest developments between the ANC and the DA.